In a quiet town nestled in Ohio lived a mechanic named Jake, who ran a small garage passed down to him by his father. It wasn't fancy, just a few tools, a couple of old car lifts, and the scent of motor oil clinging to the air. Jake had a gift with machines and a heart just as finely tuned. He wasn't wealthy, but he believed in doing right by others whenever he could. One sunny afternoon, as Jake was working on an old pickup truck, he noticed a little girl across the street, sitting in a wheelchair and watching him intently. Her name was Lily. She had been in a car accident a year ago that left her paralyzed from the waist down. She didn't say much, but her eyes always lit up at the sight of cars and engines. Every day after school, she would wheel herself to the edge of the sidewalk and silently watch Jake work, completely mesmerized by the sound of wrenches and engines rumbling to life. Jake began waving to her, then eventually crossing the street to say hello. Lily's mother explained how much Lily loved cars and how she used to dream of being a race car driver. That conversation stayed with Jake long after he closed up shop that night. He couldn't shake the thought of that little girl's silent longing to be behind the wheel of something, anything that moved. The next morning, Jake rummaged through his scrap pile, pulling out parts that most mechanics wouldn't give a second glance. He sketched a few designs, made some measurements, and got to work. For the next 2 weeks, after his regular jobs were done, he stayed late into the night building something special. Piece by piece, bolt by bolt, he constructed a custom mini-car. It was electric-powered, safe, and designed specifically for a child in a wheelchair. He painted it bright red and added a little horn that squeaked when pressed. When he finally rolled the car across the street and called Lily over, her face was a mixture of confusion and excitement. With help from her mother, Lily was carefully placed into the car. Her hands gripped the small steering wheel, and with a little push of a button, the car moved. Her laughter rang out, pure and bright, echoing down the street. Jake watched with a quiet smile as Lily zipped around the driveway, finally experiencing the joy of movement on her own terms. A neighbor recorded the heartwarming moment and shared it online. The video quickly spread, touching hearts far beyond their small town. But for Jake, it wasn't about attention or praise. It was about a little girl who deserved to feel free again, and a simple act of kindness that made it possible. A few days after Jake gave Lily the custom mini car, life at the garage carried on as usual. Jake returned to fixing brakes, changing oil and tuning engines, never imagining the ripple his kind act had made. The video of Lily laughing as she drove her new car had gone viral. Thousands of people had shared it, leaving heartfelt comments about the mechanic with a golden heart. Jake wasn't on social media much, so he didn't realize how far the story had traveled, until a black limousine pulled up in front of his garage. It was a chilly Thursday morning when the limo arrived, its glossy finish gleaming in the sunlight. Jake wiped his hands on a rag and stepped out of the garage, curious and a little cautious. The door opened, and a well-dressed woman in her 40s stepped out, holding a briefcase. She introduced herself as Natalie Brooks, a representative from a major American car manufacturer. She extended her hand and smiled warmly. "We saw what you did for Lily," she said. "The entire company was moved by your story." Jake blinked, unsure how to respond. He wasn't used to this kind of attention. "I just did what I thought was right," he said quietly. Natalie nodded. "That's exactly why we're here. People like you inspire real change." She explained that the company wanted to partner with Jake to launch a small initiative, a program to build adaptive electric cars for children with mobility challenges. They offered him a grant to expand his garage, upgrade his equipment, and hire a small team. The goal was to help him continue what he started, making mobility accessible for kids who rarely get to experience that kind of independence. Jake was overwhelmed. He had always worked alone, fixing what was broken and helping when he could. He never imagined that one kind gesture would lead to something so big. But more than the offer itself, it was the thought of reaching other children like Lily that moved him most. After some thought, Jake agreed. In the months that followed, the garage transformed. What used to be a small, dusty shop became a bright, bustling workshop filled with blueprints, colourful paints, and laughter. Parents from across the country reached out, sharing stories of their children and hoping Jake could build something for them too. Lily visited often, now more confident than ever. Her red mini-car sat proudly in the corner of the garage as a reminder of where it all began. Jake remained humble through it all, still the same man with grease on his hands and kindness in his heart. But now his work wasn't just about fixing engines, it was about changing lives. And it all started with one small car, a quiet smile, and the belief that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can make the biggest difference.